Alrighty, so we're back on norms because norms are actually really important. So norms help the group survive, okay? And right now the norm of wearing masks helps the frickin' society survive. Which is why it annoys me when people don't wear their mask in a place where they have been told they should wear their mask. I mean, it is. So let's, we can talk about that. They help predict behavior. They provide a sense of identity with the group. Think about this. You walk into a store now, you see someone not wearing a mask. You're like, well, I know what kind of person you are. Okay. The rest of us all identify as this type. And you are of this other. It's not always true, but norms of behavior, I'll give an example in just a second. But norms of behavior, it would be interesting to see if there's any Zoom differences between my class and Mariana's class or your meetings, because I think that would, doing something a little funky in a group gives you more identity. So the norms of behavior are, we do it this way. Then that makes that group a little different and a little more different from other groups, and increases our identity with that group and the identity of that group and identification with that group. I can explain the difference between identity and identification in class if you want to. It's very important. Just identity and identification are two different things. I'll tell you. Identity is what the group characteristics are. Identifications are you going, oh, those are my characteristics too. Okay, that's the difference. They're important. And here's the example. I thought pretty cool. So we have two book clubs. We have the very serious book club. There's coffee. They're all open to the same thing. They're having, it looks like a very intense discussion here. And here's the other book club, which every time I use this example, the audience gives, I want to go to that book club. They're having wine, looks like a little champagne actually. They're going to talk about the book, but are they really going to talk about the book? So the norms are very different between these two groups. And we'll come back and talk about like what happens. So here, we know the group is going to survive. You need to come in and have read your book and be ready to talk about it. Here, you need to bring some wine. The norm is we're going to have fun. If you start talking about that book too much, people might go away. They predict behavior. The norms of this group, I know we're going to talk, we're going to have fun. And it's identity. Think about the identity parts of this. Here, we're a serious group. I am serious and I have intellectual discussions with this group. That's my identification. The identity is serious. My identification is I am a serious intellectual because of my membership in this group. Here, we are fun. That's the identity. We are fun. We are friends. The identification is I am fun. I have friends because of this book club. That's the cool difference between identity and identification with the group. There you go. All right. We're just going to briefly talk about organizational socialization. I'm hoping, Dave, when you guys talk about this in talent management, we'll go into this more because it's extremely important and easy to get really, really wrong. We still don't know how to do it well. And doing it online now is like, process by organizational socialization is process by which new members move into the work groups and learn their roles and norms. Swear to God, psychologically, that's what it is. You're getting them into the organization, into the work group so they can learn their roles and the norms of behavior within that group. Usually there's some stage one before they even start. It helps to have realistic expectations about the job. That's anticipatory socialization. Second is accommodation, where they learn about their own role and other roles of people, and then role management, where they transition from new member to regular member. And this doesn't happen at orientation. That's why it's important y'all talk about it in talent management. This happens over a period of time, up to a year, possibly 2 years, that you truly get into it, at least 3 to 6 months, up to a year. And organizations, if they don't have a socialization process, can be really bad. So I would say one of the things you could bring to an organization really early right now is helping the organization socialize new employees into the organization online. My article I posted last topic, I think, had some information about that in communication. Organizational socialization is good because it increases organizational commitment and career success. Previous research on online socialization found mixed results. Surprise. They found that it saved money because people didn't have to travel all over everywhere, but people didn't really get to know other people. Now that everybody is doing it, I have one of my former PhD students just started her job. She's been working since June, and she and I have been talking that, it's a real problem. She just doesn't know anybody. Think about those poor kindergartners. I mean, that's the one that breaks my heart. They don't know anybody in their classroom because they actually haven't gotten to see them. I mean, they're being socialized. The whole point of kindergarten is socialization. We should say the whole point of your first 6 months at a new job is socialization. You're like a kindergartner, but you need to meet people and have connections and friendships and informal interactions to get socialized. Yeah. Good socialization decreases stress and turnover. You might have felt that if you started a new job, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, good fun stuff. Okay. So group processes at work. Conformity is adherence to the norms. We want people to follow the norms. Some of us more than others. And if they don't, and group members want to conform to the norms, if they like the group, this is huge. One of the things we're studying in my lab is that groups, and as part of the big thing that I posted, and I kind of wrote my whole paper about on communications, I think I gave you access to that, is that everybody started using Zoom to get connected to their groups because we had to have our need for belonging met. Okay. So we're here, we're on Zoom because we need to be in a group and that we want to see each other and be seen, to have our need for belonging met. But if you're in a group that you don't like if you were, all right, hold on a second, we'll show you. We'll see in a second. If you don't like that group, it doesn't, you don't care about conforming to the norms, okay? But most group members do want to belong. They are getting their need for belonging there, and they want to follow the group norms. There's four ways that we can get members to sanction each other's: inform, scold, punish, and ostracize, okay? And you do them in that order. The first thing is, so we'll go up and look at our thing. Here's an example. Perhaps I was at the fun group and now I'm at the serious group, okay? And I walk in, my bottle of wine, and I've skimmed the book. And they're like, oh no, Anita, here, the first thing you do, we inform, we're serious, we don't drink, we have coffee afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so that's my first inform. Tell them what the norms of the group are. This is how we do it. Make little formal rules, or at least it's when they've gone, oh my, and they realize, no, that's not what they do. You get the option of saying, this is how we do it. Then second time I bring a bottle of wine to the group, they kind of scold and say, no, Anita, we told you not to do that. That was not appropriate. It's not, a little bit more than informing you. Still, it's not bad. The third time I bring a bottle of wine to the group, they're like, okay, Anita, you are no longer allowed to bring food to the group. You can't pick where we're going to go, and you can't choose the group. Okay, you know that you've got to the third part. The fourth part is, I think you got stuck. The fourth part is ostracize, okay? And that's where you kick the person out of the group, okay? And that's really the most extreme, especially if, it's getting obvious by now that I don't really care about the serious. Either I have a drinking problem if I keep bringing wine to the group, or I really don't care about that group because I want it to be a fun group and this is not the right group for me. So ostracizing is the actual thing to do. But this is important. If it's a group that you really want to be a member of, and you ostracize them, when an inform would have been fine because they really like the group, you've kind of messed up, and you've kind of messed up with the kind of culture of that group. So remember, if they like the group, inform will, if they really like the group and they want to belong to it, inform will be enough to get them to behave. And they start getting a little bit higher, you should assume that they don't really want to belong to that group and they don't need to work with it. Okay. Other group processes, the amount of control, attraction, between the group. It's related to satisfaction, not so much to productivity. Job complexity and autonomy are related more to this. Cohesion, though, is related to size, member equality, stability, similarity, and outcome. Outgroup. There's an outgroup. So here's what's so interesting. A lot of people confuse interdictivity with cohesion or cohesiveness. It's not the same thing. Interdictivity is a 3-item measure that says this is a group. Okay, cohesion is the attraction, the glue that keeps the group together. I'd say that you can't have cohesion until you have interdictivity. But cohesion is not really related to productivity. It's really poorly defined. I hate that. It drives me crazy that we have these constructs that we think are so important and we still can't define them. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that. Other group cooperation, people, I think I was going to leave this out. Oh, no, I want to talk about this. People working together. I want to talk about this. Let's just get through all of these. Okay. Yes. Fundamental process of human interaction is reciprocity. If somebody helps you, you help somebody else. That is fundamental. It's one of those laws like equity theory that goes around the universe. Very few things in psychology I call fundamental universal laws. Reciprocity is one of them. So giving help to someone, you are going to get help from someone. You feel obligated to help them back. And that's where cooperation comes from. And also, if you have task interdependence that I need you to help me do this, that is involved with cooperation. Social loafing, people don't do as much in a group as they would on their own. And sometimes like that, that group projects, right? When, whoosy watsy won't do their part. They seem to be kind of, not doing enough, but no one does all the work in a group project, even though you think you do. I know you do. You shouldn't. A lot of people don't pull their loads because it's easier to do it with a group. And finally, we'll talk about social facilitation. Sometimes it's things you can do better in front of a group if you've practiced. So presentations, if you've practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced, you can do them much better in front of a group because it gives you a level of arousal that causes your brain to function a little better and you can do much better. So yeah, okay, pause.